Hi folks, I'm MK. After a long time, our channel got a chance to upload the video. So, further any delay, we get into the video. Today, we are going to discuss about the cooling systems in automobiles. Cooling system. Today's cooling system must maintain the engine at a constant temperature whether outside the air temperature is 110 degree Fahrenheit or 10 below zero. If the engine temperature is too low, fuel economy will suffer and emissions will rise. If the temperature is allowed to get too far too long, the engine will self destruct and there is a chance to create knocking. Types. Actually, there are two types of cooling systems found on motor vehicles. One is liquid cooled, another one is air cooled. Air cooling system in the IC engine. The basic principle involved in this method is to have a current of flowing continuously over the heated metal surface from where the heat is to be removed. The heat dissipated depends upon the following factors: the temperature difference between the heated surface and the air. Fins. Fins plays a vital role in air cooling systems in IC engines. Fins are the extruded surfaces created to extend the heat transfer rate for definite surface temperature or to decrease the surface temperature of a defined heat transfer rate. Heat transfer by convection between two surfaces and therefore the fluid around the surfaces are often increased by fabricating to the surface called fins. Then liquid cooling. Many modern motorcycles still use air cooling, but for the most part automobiles and trucks uses liquid cooled systems. The cooling system is made up of passages inside the engine block and heads, a water pump to circulate the coolant, a thermostat to control the temperature of the coolant, a radiator to cool the coolant, a radiator cap to control the pressure in the system, interconnecting hoses to transfer the coolant from engine to radiator. Working of the liquid cooling system. A cooling system works by sending a liquid coolant through passage in the engine block and heads. As the coolant flows through this passage, it picks up heat from the engine. The heated fluid then makes its way through the rubber hose to radiator in the front of car. As it flows through the thin tubes in radiator, the hot liquid is cooled by the air stream entering the engine component from the grill in front of the car. Once the fluid is cooled, it returns to the engine to absorb more heat. The water pump has the job of keeping the fluid moving through the system of pumping and hidden passage. This is the simple circuit diagram for liquid cooling system for 6-cylinder arrangement. These cylindrical blocks are considered as the cylinders. Then the arrows represents the flow direction of the coolant. Thermostat is placed here. Once the coolant get the critical temperature of thermostat and the valve gets opens, then the coolant circulation gets started. Hot coolants flow through the radiator and the radiator exchanges the heat between the air and hot coolant. Finally the coolant get cooled, then it will again passes through the passage and cycle will repeated. Pump is placed here to pump the coolant inside the engine. This is the simulation model of the liquid cooling system. This is the same thing which we have already discussed in the previous diagram. The radiator. Radiator is the most important part in liquid cooling system. Radiators or heat exchangers used to transfer internal energy from one medium to another for the purpose of cooling and heating. The radiator core is usually made up of flattened aluminum tubes with aluminum strips and zigzag between the tubes. These fins transfer the heat in the tubes to the air stream to be carried away from the vehicle. On each end of the radiator core is a tank, usually made up of plastic, that covers the ends of the radiator. It helps to exchange the heat from the coolant to the air which strikes on the radiator tubes. Then the thermostat. The thermostat is simply a valve that measures the temperature of the coolant, and if it is hot enough opens to allow the coolant to flow through the radiator. If the coolant is not hot enough, the flow to the radiator is blocked and fluid is directed to bypass system that allows the coolant to return to the engine. This bypass system allows the coolant to keep moving through the engine to balance the temperature and avoid the hot spots. Because flow to the radiator is blocked, the engine will reach operating temperature sooner, and on a cold day will allow the heater to begin supplying hot air to the interior more quickly. So thank you guys, those who are patiently listening this video. We will meet on next concept. Until then, stay tuned, be curious. Bye bye.